Back in 2015, an American cat named Bart was unfortunately run over. Then, when his owner found his deceased cat, he buried him. Now, this may not seem newsworthy. Something similar happened to our family cat when I was a kid, and something similar may have happened to you in your lifetime or someone you know. But it's what happened next after this that made this very simple but still tragic story become worldwide news. You see, 5 days after this tragic event, Bart the cat reappeared on his owner's front door after he had dragged himself out of his own grave with a busted up jaw and a busted up eye, and because of this the owner set up a GoFundMe to raise money for the repair and the care of Bart the cat. Of course, the mass media went crazy with this feel-good GoFundMe campaign, which is when he was unfortunately labelled Bart the Zombie Cat. Now, because it's on this show, you know that isn't the whole story. There's quite a lot that's gone wrong with this, and I plan to explain it all in today's episode. And even though this video isn't exactly going to end badly, everything up to that point is a little unsettling and upsetting. So class this as my disclaimer. Nothing will be shown in this video that hasn't been seen already on news stations, but still, like I said, this is my disclaimer to you. It also means that YouTube are probably going to be hitting this video with limited ads. And therefore, I'm very thankful to say that this video is sponsored by Bloodlines Heroes of Leafus. If you haven't tried out Bloodlines yourself, now is the time to do it. There is no better time, as the game just got its biggest update ever with its new mind-blowing hybrid system. You can customize your champions with 800 different hybrids passed down from each family tree to make a character truly unique to you. And if you want to see the slickest designs, then you're in luck. As starting from October 27th, the new vampire clan, the Accursed, will be joining the ranks, and you will be able to obtain one of these champions yourself for free on the 7th day. So download the game now for free using that link in the description or by scanning the QR code that you can see on the screen, and get a special starter pack with 10 energy potions, 100,000 gold and 100 diamonds worth $20. For fans, it's a great game that offers visually stunning 3D graphics, beautiful looking set pieces, a compelling storyline and an easy to control button layout that works on a vertical screen. So, once again, download the game for free using the link or the QR code, get $20 worth of free goodies and the Accursed Vampire Champion as part of the Bloodlines Halloween event. Only available for the next 30 days. Get downloading now.
It's a miracle. All I could think is it's a miracle, and it just wasn't time for this cat to go. I mean, I had to been touched by the Lord or something. I mean, I can't explain it. The cat was buried. The cat was dead. My neighbor brought the cat back to my house.
The cat was really dead.
The cat was absolutely dead. The cat was cold. The cat was stiff. The cat ain't had no movement, no nothing.
Or so he thought. As the family was grieving, Bart dug his way out of his own grave and came crawling back home. Ellis's neighbor saw him first.
There he is, just purring and looking up at me, all dirty, and I'm like, this cat is dead. Yeah, I know he was dead.
This is Bart, or Marky, a nickname given due to him always marking his territory around town, apparently. And unfortunately, as you can see, he is a little worse for wear. And on this, his GoFundMe labelled help with medical expenses for Bart, which by the way is no longer available, the following statement is badly written. On January 17th, 2015, Marky, Bart, we thought was hit by a car and killed. His owners, Mr. Wayne, went and moved him out of the road and later buried him. Unfortunately, Marky was dead. He was stiff and in a pool of blood. Well, on January 21st, 2015, I went outside to fed the starry cats. Stray cats? That's when a miracle happened, right in front of my eyes. Marky had came up begging for food. I was in shock because I knew 5 days prior this cat was dead and buried. So I grabbed him up and took him to Mr. Wayne. We are all in shock. Mr. Wayne called the ASPCA and took Marky to the docks today, January 23rd, 2015, and was confirmed that Marky had been buried. He was not alive when he was buried. Come to find out, Marky may have been attacked by a raccoon or a pit bull that runs the neighbourhood. Was confirmed maggots on the brain, he will lose his eye, he has a broken jaw, and his cheekbone is exposed. Marky is going to need a lot of medical assistance and bills will begin to pile up soon, while the family makes sure Marky makes a full recovery. Please be kind to Marky, donate to him on his road to recovery and changing the world. God is almighty and God is love, God is powerful. Never give up your belief in the higher power. Thank you, Dusty Albritton. Okay, so let's start off by ignoring that this cat didn't get any medical attention for 2 days straight. And let's forget that maggots on the brain thing because obviously that isn't true. And instead, let's take a look at the individuals here, shall we? Mr. Wayne is obviously the owner of the cat, although let's change that to Ellis Hudson because that's his real name. Wayne is just his middle name. We'll get to him more later on in the video. Because the really interesting part of this is Dusty Albritton, aka the person that made the GoFundMe, aka the person who is not the owner, aka the person that makes conspiracy-esque videos where she talks about balloons following her, dream catchers moving on their own, and orbs chasing her children around her house on her YouTube channel.
Did you just see that? It's following you.
AKA the neighbour who is undeniably very much into cats. But not like you and me like cats. She seems to be around a lot of cats that die and come back to life way more frequently than anybody watching this video. As seen here in a video that I'm only willing to show a steal of, where she shows her cat, called Clumsy, with blaring John Bon Jovi music in the background, wishing him a quick death as he is quite literally about to die from convulsions, on an old rag and a dirty kitchen floor. But instead of taking him to the vet to help him through this, for whatever reason, she decides that the best course of action is to put a crystal on his head and pray to angels and God for him to die, as she and the cat just couldn't take it anymore. And if that isn't distressing enough, another video popped up later on that same day that I am a little bit more comfortable showing to you guys.
Miracle. This is Callie at 241-4-4-2014. She's blind. This cat died at 11:37 a.m. this morning, 4-4-2014. I know she died. I held her while she died in my hands. She's blind now. She can't see. She can't hear. She's alive.
Yeah, Dusty's a very unique sort of woman, and we'll be hearing more from her in this video. Like, for instance, the way her cat got the name Clumsy. Now, according to a Facebook post on her wall, Clumsy was born on the roof of a house and would frequently fall off the roof of the house. Of course, being the caring lady that she is, she would pick up the kitten and put him back on the roof of the house repeatedly every time he fell off. And then eventually one day, after falling off again, his mother tried to come down and save him, killing herself in the process by a vicious pit bull who was waiting at the bottom, resulting in Dusty taking him in and giving him that funny name, Clumsy. What? This is the sort of crap that you can expect to hear a whole lot more about if you ever do decide to look into the history of this Dusty lady. Regardless, obscure fairy tales aside, less than a year later the same thing is of course happening again for Bart, who was dead, but then he got better. Unfortunately though, the same could not be said for Dusty's other cat, as the GoFundMe also mentions. My cat, on the same day also was killed, which I thought also by a car. Both cats were buried the same day and we went on with our lives, hoping the cats made their safe return to Rainbow Heaven. Okay, so it's my understanding that this other cat that died the same day as Bart wasn't Clumsy the cat. It was another cat entirely. So in total, so far in this video, that is 3 cat deaths. 2 have come back to life, and then obviously you got that other cat death from the one that died on the roof of that house by the pit bull. Guys, if you live in Florida, keep your cats well away from Dusty. Of course, as we know now, 5 days later, Bart arrived at Dusty's feet looking like this, and 2 days after that, he was taken in for free by the Tampa Humane Society, a non-profit organisation that take in homeless animals, at-risk animals, as well as offering adoption services and veterinary services to the general public who simply can't afford it. And by this point, that story of the zombie cat had blown up, meaning that the GoFundMe did too. Dusty was asking for $1,500 to help poor Bart, and very quickly it gained well over $6,000 in less than a week. And then a video emerged on Dusty's YouTube channel. Thankfully, it has been privatised, because it's what's seen in this video by the countless news articles, comments on the GoFundMe page, and a Facebook group made by people who want to get all of the latest updates on Zombie Cat that changed the narrative completely. I have tried countless amounts of times to try and find this video, but it is locked behind Dusty's private YouTube wall. However, going by the amounts of comments I've seen discussing this video, it's not a video you want to be seeing anyway. It turns out that Bart the cat wasn't dead, or at least that was the impression given in the video. He was injured either by a car or a bigger animal like a pit bull or a raccoon. That has never been confirmed, by the way, because around the 2:25 mark of the video, one individual can be heard saying the following: "He might not have been dead, because when I found him, he was moving and stuff." The video also shows Bart being put into a cage after he rose from the dead for those 2 days. This is the only capture I could find from that video, and it's absolutely sickening that he had to wait that long before receiving medical attention. And if that wasn't morbid enough, a comment left on another website claims that the video talked about someone speaking of putting Epsom salts directly into the cat's injured eye. Whether this was done to make the cat more zombie-like for internet fame, or in some absurd mindset to actually help the cat in his time of need, is something I've read several times, and of course I cannot comment on this myself without seeing it for myself. But remember guys, these are comments made by multiple people on multiple sites, including very reputable news sites, all linking directly to this video as evidence. So I think it's fair to say that what I've read here is unfortunately factual. It's because of this that people started to pull their pledges and make sure to leave hardcore comments on that GoFundMe to warn people off, which of course is effective for newcomers, but not so much for people that have already donated and wanted to check up on the progress of Bart the cat. Comment after comment was made directing people to the toxic YouTube video, and that's when the previously mentioned What's Going On with Bart the Cat Facebook group was made. And it didn't stop there, as those news stations that had previously covered Bart the zombie cat had now obviously seen these updates too.
The battle for Bart the zombie cat continuing tonight. The Humane Society saying that it won't return the cat to its owner. Now there are questions about what will happen with $7,000 raised for the cat on a GoFundMe page.
In those news updates, we got to see a recovering Bart the zombie cat. We heard of the $5,000 to $6,000 the charity was paying up to that point to get him back on his feet, with feeding tubes being needed, and of course the loss of his eye, among many other things. And then we heard that the charity is refusing to send him back home.
This is not about the money to us. We just want to make sure the cat is going to be taken care of. If somebody tells you the cat's still breathing, it's alive, the cat shouldn't have been buried. The cat shouldn't have had dirt thrown over him. But we want a home where there are no young children that could, put him in jeopardy. It's going to be a long time before this cat is healed.
They also stated that not a single dime of the GoFundMe's money was given to the charity that is helping look after the cat. But on the flip side, we also hear from Dusty herself, who is upset with the charity that had put a picture of Bart on the donation page, as she thinks that people donating will be under the impression that all of their donations will be going directly to Bart and none of the other animals in this centre.
People are being misled, thinking it's only for Bart and his expenses.
When of course, it just goes to the charity overall.
It's a life-saving fund that we have, and any monies that we got or we received from Bart, if it covers that, then that money is just put back to help all the other animals.
We also looked deeper into Hudson's background. One thing that stuck out to us was an animal cruelty charge from 1998. When we asked Hudson about that tonight, he said he didn't know anything about that and that he was in federal prison at the time.
Wait. What? Yeah, not really relevant to this story, but both Ellis and Dusty have a bit of a colourful past with the law. Now, I couldn't find any more information on the animal abuse conviction, so without that, like I said, it's irrelevant to this story. Regardless, the big issue now that the cat is getting the proper treatment was that the original owner and nosy neighbour wanted the cat back. Which of course wouldn't be a problem if there wasn't evidence that 1. The cat was still alive when buried, 2. The injuries found on the cat were not consistent with those found on a cat that had been run over or attacked by a bigger animal injury, 3. Dusty had several very obscure animal deaths already to her name by this point, 4. They had been raising money that at this point the charity hadn't seen, 5. They didn't have a caring and calming environment for Bart to live in when he would get back for his further recovery needs, 6. He had never up to this point had even the most basic of animal jabs or nurturing done, and 7. It had been reported that Ellis wanted to use that money raised on GoFundMe to now create a dedicated room for Bart in his house. Supposedly so that hardcore religious believers could come up and see the miracle for themselves. A real living animal that, against all odds, rose from the dead, apparently in some kind of glass cage, although I couldn't 100% confirm the glass cage thing myself. That was just what I read on several comments, so take that nugget of info with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, the money wasn't going to the charity when it absolutely should have done. The battle for Bart the zombie cat was long and hard. And thankfully, for the most part, stayed out of the public eye. Besides that GoFundMe page that people had donated to with the intention to help an injured cat, now changing its title from just medical expenses to help Bart with medical and legal expenses. No matter how many times people gave evidence to GoFundMe that the money wasn't being used correctly, GoFundMe simply just didn't take it down for the longest time, and people that only heard half the story continued to donate, whilst the charity continued to dig into their own pockets in order to keep Bart safe. There's no exact amounts available to the public as to how much was spent and how much was raised, but based on interviews at the time, these are the figures I was able to come up with. The charity spent approximately $11,000 to keep Bart alive. They spent $5,000 in legal battles that lasted for 20 months. They eventually settled out of court, giving the original owner a figure of $5,000 for ownership of the cat, resulting in a grand total of more than $21,000 paid out by the charity. However, they did manage to pull back just under $9,000 from people who donated directly because of Bart the cat, giving us a final total of around about $12,000 paid out in order to keep Bart alive. And even though you may be seething from anger that the owner got paid $5,000 out of court for burying a supposed living animal that he and probably the neighbour got away with, plus whatever was taken from that GoFundMe, which the website finally agreed to take down by this point, at least Bart the cat nowadays is living a harm-free life with one of the nurses that actually helped him on his road to recovery. He may have lost an eye, but besides that, he is finally living his best cat life, and well, he has become a bit of a tubster. Hey there guys, thank you all so much for checking out the video. A bit of a morbid one this time, I suppose it fits for the Halloween season, but yeah, don't worry, I've got a pretty crazy non-morbid Kickscammer coming up. Regardless, please do hit that subscribe button, please do hit the like button, all of that usual junk. It really does help the video, even if you just leave a comment, share it with a friend, all those sort of things really does help. I've been asking people to do that lately, actually saying that in the video, and it has made a difference. So please, if you haven't done so, please do hit those buttons and do those things, because it really does help. But anyway, this is the part of the video where I'd like to give a massive shout out to all of my Patreons and YouTube members, with an extra big shout out going to Aaron Gorman, Agro Crag, Akatimo84, Andrew Dalton, Arista, Ashley Philpott, Benjamin Guy, Big Rico, Boots and Pup, Bram Perez, Chevmatic, Christopher Devero, Clan Bob, Conrad Constantine, Action Saxon, Dina81, Game Apologist, Gary Pinkett, Ian Quell, Intrigued Gaming, Attacky Teacher, The Ashen Knight, Jay's Manchild, Jabba Al Aiden, James, Jeff Mianowski, Jeremy Rodriguez, John Rogers, Lucas Gates, Lucas Softail, Man Shovel, Matt Jackson, Mike Fallon, Mind of the Unsane, Nicholas Bertner, Over Charles Zane, Roll VP, Ray Blair, Retro to Next Gen aka Lou, Richard Algic, Rovan Army, Ryan Burford, Sir Nilsson, Shade Silence, Shadow Dragon, Solix Captor, That Gamer, the Old Man Cometh, The Sneaky Ferret, Tim Lund, Todd Paul Float G, Vitas Varnes, Vike Echo, Wobbles and Bean, The Wonder Ducks, and Ye Old Hamburger. Like I said, guys, thank you all so much for your support. And until next time, this is DJ Soap coming out, signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.